want to give you guys a tip today I think is going to really help you just with your efficiency, with your reading, and just with your learning processes. You know, one of the things that is one of the biggest advantages in life, I think most of us would agree, is reading. But one of the problems is just kind of making it through, you know, a 250 page book and then moving on to another one. It can just seem so much sometimes. So learning to read smartly is a really big advantage for people. Sometimes you got to learn how to skim a book. Some books are worth just reading through every single page, every single paragraph. And other books, frankly, are worth just skimming. And when I say skimming, I don't mean glancing through it, but I mean having a method and how to actually skim a book so you get the big ideas. I want you to think about it like this. Most people who have read a book, if you ask them afterwards, hey, tell me what that book is about, they're going to give you, after reading an entire book, they're going to give you kind of bullet points. Oh yeah, it was great. It talked about this and this and this and this, and they're going to give you maybe 4 or 5 big ideas that they got from the book. And they might be able to give you some of the illustrations or examples that are built into the book, or stories possibly, but a lot of times we read to gain the big ideas from a book. And so knowing how to skim a book does exactly that and saves you a whole lot of time so you can move on to another book. 5 things I think you want to be able to do well. Number 1, get a book and you want to read the book jacket description. I know you think that's probably pretty basic, but start there. Once you see the book, flip it over. Sometimes there's a description on the back of the book. Maybe if it's a flap, read the flap on both sides. Read the descriptions. They don't have time for what are called filler words on the descriptions. They are going right to the heart of exactly what this book is about. So the jackets of a book are absolutely terrific in getting kind of your arms around the big idea. Next, go straight to the table of contents. Go right there and look at the chapters, and don't just glance through them, read them. Look at the chapter titles. Is there kind of a logic? Is there a flow to it? What are they talking about? Get a real sense of how the author is putting his chapter titles together and see where is he going. You'd be amazed how much you can get from a table of contents just by looking at the way the author chooses to structure his chapters. Then read the preface or the intro. That's going to be obviously in the front of the book. Just read that. A lot of times they'll have a preface and an intro. You can read both if you want. When I have a choice of both of them, I usually read the intro and I skip the preface. But whatever, read one or the other or both, and that's going to really give you a deeper dive. It's kind of like the jacket of the book, but a deeper dive with a little more illustrations to kind of give you a picture of what it is that they're trying to talk about. Fourthly, go to the end of the book. And most books are going to have something like a conclusion, a postscript, something at the end of the book that you want to read, and it summarizes the highlights, the high points of what they talked about in the book, along with some challenges to get you to think about some things. And finally, and this is more the meaty part of skimming, read the first and last 2 pages of every chapter. So if the chapter is 20 pages, read the first 2 of that chapter and read the last 2 of that chapter. And that's it. Don't go to the 3rd page. Don't keep reading. Discipline yourself to just read the first 2 and the last 2. And here's why. Because at the opening of every chapter, they are introducing the thought of the chapter. And generally speaking, in 2 pages, they're going to give you a big understanding of where they're going in that chapter. The last 2 pages of the chapter generally are summing up the chapter. So if you can practice these 5 tips, I promise you, you're going to probably save yourself about 80% of the time in reading the entire book, and you're going to have a big picture understanding of it. And then one more point that I didn't write down, one thing I like to do is whenever I see some insights from the skimming of the book or when I read it, I do like to write them at the top of pages on the book. So that way, anytime I open the book, I can look at the top and go, oh, there was a big idea or an insight that I got from that section or from that chapter. So practice this. I promise you, you might think you're cheating yourself by not reading the whole book. If it turns out you like everything that you read, go back and read the whole book. That's okay. A lot of books don't need to be read from cover to cover. In fact, I'd say most books don't. So find the ones that you really find value in, read all of those cover to cover, and then learn to skim a lot of books that are out there that's going to give you the big idea with kind of a semi-deep dive into the content, and I promise you, it's going to increase your ability to comprehend and access a lot of information a lot faster.